Welcome. For my color palette, I used a violet that I mixed with a little bit of red and then a little bit of orange to get some of my darker shades for the peach. Then I mixed some light yellow with a little orange to create additional shades for the halftones on the peach. I do have a little bit of yellow ochre here in the corner that I'm not going to touch. I want that pure hue on its own. For my background, I chose a little green and I mixed it with white for the foreground color. So to start off, we're going to block in our subject. Today we're painting a peach. To get this started, blocking in your subject is just creating kind of like a sketch. You're going to take any color of your choice and mix it with a little bit of mineral spirits. Today I'm using Sansador. Then you're going to use that mixture to create your sketch or block in your subject. I usually start with a vertical line in order to set the orientation of the subject that I'm going to be painting, which is a peach. You can put a little marks around your vertical line to help you gauge what size you want your peach to be. Our subject is kind of like a ball, but it has an irregular shape. If you've ever looked at a peach, no peach is a perfect circle, but it is approximately as wide as it is tall. In the middle of my peach, I am going to map out an area where the stem would go and kind of map out little lines that can help me paint details in the middle of the peach, because normally that's where the peach would kind of get a little dented inwards where the stem grows. Now I'm going to make a little ellipse, which is like an elongated oval for my cast shadow, which would be at the bottom form and the border of my paper. Somehow my beginner video got deleted, so I just put a picture with a breakdown of the colors that I used for the first section. So violets for the occlusion shadow and the core shadow, and the reflected light. And then the secondary core shadow was that darker yellow. Okay, so now we're going to make the reflected light areas. So in this reflected light area, I'm using a red orange from my color palette, and I'm also going to be using a light yellow, and that light yellow is going to go in the stem recess area, and the stem recess area is just kind of where the stem points out and the peach gets a little bit lower in its stature. So here is where that light yellow is going to go in that stem recess area. After, I'm going to use some yellow from my palette, and I'm going to use it to block in the halftones. And if you remember, the halftones are the side of your object that is being hit by the most direct light. And so I'm just going to block in those halftones. I put a little yellow on the right hand side, but I'm really going to establish the halftones for my painting on the left hand side. Here is where those halftones will be. I'm going to go ahead and put in some background color because at this point, I want to look at the relationship between my colors and do a little check-in and see how my little illusion of a peach is coming to life. In doing the background colors, it helps me get a better view of my peach, and it helps me get a better understanding of the way that light is affecting my peach and how the color relationships are, and whether it helps to make it look like a real peach. I'm going to go ahead and start to kind of color in the cast shadow. I just chose a little bit of a grayish color. And so I'm going to try to achieve those reflections from the peach onto my cast shadow. And once I'm done with that, finally, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the foreground of my painting. And the foreground is just the shade lighter than the background color. So in doing the foreground, it's really going to help me check the relationship of the cast shadow that I have painted here, and also the relationship of the colors on the peach. I took a moment to make some observations to myself, and I kind of realized that I would have preferred for the peach to be a little bit more blended. So I'm going to take a brush and I'm going to kind of blend out the peach. I'm using a fan brush here, and I'm just lightly, just barely touching the surface of the paintings. I dip the fan brush in a little bit of oil, and I'm going back and forth to try to get those colors to come together and make the illusion that we often see on the surface of a peach. In between the in between the blending, I'm cleaning off the brush just because there are certain colors that I want to blend with each other, but I don't want to make a big mess. If we mix too many of the colors together, it'll kind of brown out your colors and take away from all that hard work you did to create color values and relationships. So remember to clean off your brush every time you do a little blending. If you decide to do it, you definitely don't have to. So that was the finished piece that I got. I hope this was helpful and enjoy.